Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Yes indeed, welcome to another weekly recap. You know what folks, nothing ever stops at the Fountain Pen Studios. Things just keep rolling in. I think I got a permanent membership with Amazon. They're at my doorstep on a daily basis. And not only Amazon, but AliExpress. I still can't get over the fact that AliExpress, you know, for 20, 30 bucks, they actually deliver to my door. Just like Amazon. That to me is just spectacular. I order an expensive pen from Italy or even from an American online retailer, and you know, you got to pay excise, customs, shipping, UPS, and they charge you, you know, an arm and a leg. And here you are, Amazon, AliExpress. No, they're all hidden somewhere. It's a good price. You know what you're paying ahead of time. No surprises. So they're coming in, folks. They're coming in, folks. All to say is that I got another beautiful show for you. We got some pens. We got some paper. We got some ink. Got some novel things that I want to discuss with you. I even got some more products for my studio, which I want to just show you. So without any further ado, here is Fountain Pen Therapy's weekly recap for April 6th, 2025. Okay, so what's new in the market? Gotta tell you, it's slow. It's slow in almost every respect. Nothing exciting happening except that Winsung or Yun Line 930 with that number 9 size nib. I know it's on its way. It's on its way, and if it gets here before the end of this show, you'll see it. If not, I probably review it during the week. Or at the very least, you'll see it in next week's recap. But what do I have for you in any event? This is what I've been able to kind of appreciate and what I think may be useful for you folks. Let me just go to my overhead camera. First things first. The Win line, this is the Yun Line 930. But what I find interesting is, one, there's this wrench to open up that piston, and they want us to pay $14 for this wrench. That's unfortunate. It should be provided with the pen. We'll see if mine comes with the pen. We shall see. It should come with the pen. I think to charge people $15 Canadian for that wrench is ridiculous. Having said that, please note that you can get the nibs separately. You can either get them without the nib section, just the nib, in all the sizes, fine, medium, or broad, or you can actually get them with the nib section, okay? And you can either get them in this gold color, or they also have a kind of a chrome or silver color. So I think that's quite handy. So for example, I ordered medium and broad. I think depending on the quality of those nibs and how I enjoy them, I may very well order a fine just so that I could try it without buying a pen per se. Speaking of nibs, here is something that you should be aware of. They actually sell these lemon nibs, all kinds, the hand polished, the long knife, on AliExpress, but I find they're overpriced. I mean, they're charging $32 for these nibs. So this is essentially the price of a Bock or a Yowo nib. They are nice nibs, but I'm not sure they're in the same, branding quality. And, the other nibs, the German nibs have kind of got a long history. But having said that, should you be excited or should you want these nibs, they are now sold separately. In that regard, take a look at KAIGELU nibs. And, the difference is the KAIGELU nibs are going for like $3. And these things are absolutely gushers and great nibs. Extra fine, fine, or medium. So I would recommend them. In fact, I may very well order one of each. And maybe we'll do some writing next week just to show you how really good these nibs are for $2.40 each. It's, in my opinion, a steal. Okay, what else have I got for you? Yeah, this is the NOVELLI site. What I've noticed is that NOVELLI's got some beautiful pens being offered. First of all, you've got this Delta DV, which is either comes with the gold nib or in ballpoint version, which is like an oversized version of that pen, which I think is really, really nice. You've got this Delta reservoir that's coming, by the way, folks, with this mammoth reservoir for the ink. And I wrote to Nino, apparently this reservoir will be in particular for Delta pens, but stay tuned, because the fixture here obviously has got to fit, and it's got to be the pen's got to be wide enough to accommodate that monster of a reservoir. We've also got La Dotta here. We've got Scribo, that new Uovo di Raviolo, that orange pen. We've got the Leonardos are there. They are always there. Delta Sign of Time. This is a very affordable $121 offering, which I think may be worth considering, and at a very decent value. We've got this beautiful Jubileum, which is the anniversary or the celebration of the Jubilee in Rome. This pen, every time I look at it, kind of tempts me. It's in my cart for a while. We'll see if I pull the trigger. We've got this Delta. Well, doesn't work. Let me just go back. It should work. It's in any event, it's the Sforza from Delta. Again, another beautiful pen. We've got Omas, the Bologna Calassia there. We've got the Auroras being offered, the Optima, and various other models. We've got the Leonardo 12 edition. So lots of beautiful eye candy. Let me tell you, Novelli Italia. Take a look at that site. May be worth your while. Speaking of Delta, we've got one Delta offering from that I didn't see elsewhere by Pen Chalet. It's this Delta Neo Gallery fountain pen. I guess it's the new Gallery edition. I have the Gallery, the old kind of a Dolce Vita look edition. Is this new one? It comes in this yellow, brown, and purple, or this straight kind of yellowish green brown look. Very, very nice. So if you're interested, at a very reasonable $188. So that could be worth taking a look at. Do I have anything else? That's it for pens. What about inks? Oh, inks. My favorite inks are Van Diemen. By the way, I have a 10% discount code, fountainpentherapy, all one word. If you want 10%, look at this new collection that's out. It's the Van Diemen's Professional Edition. We've got this Prussian Essential. It's kind of a blue, dark blue. this blue-black, this turquoise, this scarlet, this violet, this jade green, this tobacco brown, this mulberry red, this crimson, kind of a crimson red, this stone color, and this mulled brown. I've ordered all of them except the last ones here. So I've ordered 8 out of 12. I should be receiving them soon, and we'll do some swatching. And that will be, I think, something I'm looking forward to, some brand new Van Diemen's ink to kind of push my collection along, so to speak. That's it for what's new in the market. So, folks, stay tuned for my next segment. Okay, so we're back for the product haul. I've got all kinds of new stuff to show you, and let's begin with this leather mat that I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to go to my overhead camera and show you. Here it is. I figured, once in a while we got to show you some different colors on the overhead shots. I think this is going to make it a nice backdrop. So I ordered this on, they say it's leather. I don't think it's leather. Frankly, I think this is faux, it's fake leather, if you will. But hey, $25 on AliExpress, delivered to my door. I think it's going to be very, very nice. So we're going to be using this mat for this particular recap and for a little while longer. I've got all kinds of mats, different colors, and some of them just don't do well on overhead shots. This one I think will. So there you have it. That's a brand new product to show you. Now, what else have I got to show you? Well, let me start with the paper, because with the paper I'll be able to show you some of the pens and do some swatching and also do some writing. So here's the paper that I propose for you this week. This is the YU-SARI notebook, made in Japan, 96 sheets. It's an A5, very well bound. This is the grid. It comes in ruled, or I think even blank. Pages are very, very thick, but I find that the pens really write well. It's friendly with all kinds of writing instruments. Needless to say, the paper is slightly coated, and it's very thick, so it should do very, very well. So this is the notebook that I propose for you, A5. It varies. It readily available, believe it or not, on many sites. You just have to look it up, YU-SARI notebook, and you'll see it varies anywhere between $18 and $25, depending on where you buy it. And then, of course, if it comes from a source that's far away, then you may be stuck with a little more shipping, so be careful to see what's included in the price. But I think this is a wonderful notebook, and we're going to do some writing with it this week, and I'll also do my swatching on this notebook along with the A Tomo River page. So there you have the notebook. So we'll leave that right there, because I'm going to be looking at some pens, and we'll do some writing as well. Now, what have I got for you this week in terms of writing? Let me just focus a little more in terms of pens. Sorry. Well, I bought this pen. This is called the FENG 812. I think it's a FULIWEN A12. That's one of the things with these Chinese brands. They always use different brand names, and you never can really follow what they are. Now, I got to tell you, I'm going to show you pictures of this pen, and it comes also in orange. And I was a little bit disappointed, because I really thought that I was getting something else. So when this pen came out of its sleeve, I was extremely disappointed. Let me be more specific. First of all, the resin on this thing is not very deep. It's plasticky, very light, very cheap. The nib is almost bigger than the pen. I was expecting something a little more substantial, especially for the price that I paid it. I think I paid it something like $45, $50 Canadian. Just not worth it, Frank. So if you guys are tempted to buy this FENG FULIWEN 812, stay away from it. Really don't. It's not worth the money. Don't bother. The only salvaging point Actually, there are two with this pen, and I think the best way to show it is by doing some writing, is the nib. But there again, it's a number 5 size nib. It says FULIWEN on it, so I did not have great expectations until I started writing with it. So this is the Yang FENG, if I pronounce that correctly, which I think is FULIWEN, because I saw it described as FULIWEN as well, and it's the 812. The nib is a FULIWEN number 5 steel. Now, it's supposed to be kind of a fine medium, but it's got a little bit of an architect grind there, which gives it some line variation, which is really, really nice. The ink that I put in here, if I'm not mistaken, was a Hero ink. And let me tell you, the thank God this nib is really, really nice. Now, the second thing that surprised me about this pen, now, by the way, it's a cartridge converter, nothing to write home about, very light, very cheap quality, in my view. It does cap very, very, very nicely. Mind you, it's small. But what I realized, here I am raving about big, girthy pens and keep saying that I like big, girthy pens. And yet, every time I pick up a pen with a small section, I seem to have a very pleasant writing experience. All to say that, the writing experiences that we have over the years change. Our tastes, preferences change. And from here on in, I'm going to pay particular attention. I may actually do a video on this, on how I like slim pens. Let me show you another example. It's this, I think they call it the Japan Crest or something. Again, it's got that very small section, and I find it very, 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 very comfortable. By the way, this pen has got other issues. It's a good-looking pen, and when it writes, it's beautiful. It just dries up on you after a day. If anybody knows a solution for the drying up of these pens, the problem is right there. It's just awful. I think half a day and the thing's dry. But all to say is that I'm starting to really enjoy small sections, nib sections. And I'm just wondering whether or not I've been just fooling myself by keep insisting on buying girthy pens. Don't get me wrong, I haven't given up on girthy pens, far from it. But I'll give you another example, which kind of is a good introduction to the ASVINE. This is that ASVINE C2000, and I'll discuss something in a minute. It's got this huge section, which in some ways I have a hard time feeling comfortable with this section. And at one point I said to myself, what is it about this section that makes my writing experience not as pleasant? It's kind of, it's as if my hand goes into a cramp, and I can't release the energy required to have a good writing experience. I'm kind of constantly clutching on. Now, is it because it's slightly slippery? Is it because there is really no flair there? Or is it because it's too girthy? I'm not sure. But all to say is that it's something I'm going to revisit. and maybe it's going to get me to do a video on slim pens and how they are newly appreciated by the undersigned. Which leads me to discuss, and you guys, I hope you've seen it, these pens had major dry nib issue, unfortunately, and the solution has come out. It's this little gasket which goes into, and I'm doing this just for those of you who haven't seen my video. It's up, by the way, showing you the fix with a, so there you have it. You put the little gasket in the little crevice or cavity that's there, and it's all set. That's what it looks like after. I still kept one pen. I got 4 of them where I haven't put the gasket yet. You see there's that cavity right there. Well, that's where you throw in the gasket and then just kind of plunge it and push it in. And it's supposed to solve the problem. As you can see, this pen, the way I had fixed this is by applying one of the fixes by Fontaine de Plume, I think suggested this, which was kind of this is plumbing tape, but it's, the plumbing tape is very fragile. I should have used the thicker one, and I found that just after a couple of weeks, the drying issue had come back. And in fact, I can show you with this pen. I don't believe this pen writes. And here again, you see I'm having difficulty clutching it. Yeah, you see it's dry. Whereas the other one is not dry at all. I applied the fix earlier this week. It's been sitting on my desk, and I have no drying issues with this pen. Now, I don't know whether it's up yet or not. You'll see that in my video, and I'm just going to put a thumbnail up for you to take a look at if you're interested. I don't know when they're going to put up these gaskets up for grabs. Sally at ASVINE wrote to me and indicated that they should be up on the site next week. It's not quite clear whether or not they're just going to give these things away. She talked about giving me a coupon. Is it a coupon that I can share with you? We shall see. Or are they going to send these things free of charge? It's very expensive to send just one little gasket. So I don't know what workaround they're going to have for this, but we shall see, and I'll keep you all informed. The other thing, of course, is that I haven't seen this pen on sale either on Amazon or on Etsy or anywhere else. I suspect that maybe next week, along with the gaskets, they're going to put this pen up for sale again. I'm just hoping they have different versions, different colors, or maybe even different material for this pen, because it would be a waste, especially that number 8 size nib, which is really, really nice. So there you have it. Maybe a little bit of repetition on my part, but I'm just giving it for the benefit of some of the viewers who have not had a chance to take a look at that fix. Let me just take a sip of my espresso. Okay, so that's the FULIWEN. I've dealt with the ASVINE gasket. The next pen I'd like to discuss with you, of course, and there again, I refer you to my video. I put up a video this week about this HONGDIAN N25. The best thing about this pen, in my view, were there are 2 things, was the girth and the weight and how big this pen actually is. It looks much smaller on the advertising. And so this is look at that. I mean, HONGDIAN N25. Now, this has got the lemon nib that I replaced it with during my video, as opposed to an HONGDIAN N25 nib, a special nib for that limited edition. I just find this lemon hand-polished medium nib such a juicy nib. It's become one of my favorites that I've decided to leave it in this pen. And of course, the second thing is just look at that resin. Well, they say that there is a clear resin application over an engraved surface. Now, is it acrylic? Is it resin? You're not going to hold me to that. I forgot to mention the clip in my review. It's springy, very, very, very useful. I did my vapor test to see if it seals properly. Nothing came out. We shall see if this pen, keeps the nib wet. So far, so good. So for those of you who have not had a chance to take a look at my video, please do. I give you all the details of this pen, but for me, it's another winner from HONGDIAN. So there you have that. What else have I got? Speaking about HONGDIAN, there was some confusion over nibs. I saw this advertising about new soft HONGDIAN nib on sale, so I decided to buy a couple, and it's the one that has that notch, that kind of a knot design, and there was nothing novel about this that I saw. It is the new feed, and so I was wondering what the big fuss was. But I think there's a little bit of confusion, and I'm going to be doing a segment later on some of these nibs, and I may very well do a more detailed, longer segment on all the HONGDIAN nibs, just so that maybe we can clarify some things. But stay tuned. Just in a few minutes, we're going to revisit this. But I did want to mention that I've ordered some of these HONGDIAN nibs. And by the way, I'm just going to put up on the thumbnails, you can actually get this one, and you can also get the even more flexier version or more flexi nib that you'll find on the D5s with a lot of bounce. That's on sale as well. So for any of you who are interested, there you have it. It's on sale. Or it's being sold separately, that is. So that covers that purchase. What else have I got for you? Oh, yes. I'm going to be doing a detailed review, probably publishing it sometimes, maybe next week. We'll see. This is a brand new pen I ordered from RANGA. Actually, it's a RANGA pen that I ordered on Patent Street Pens. With this new, they have a new material that they're using, this premium resin. Very nice. Take a look at that. Very, very nice. I finished a detailed review of this pen. Very nice, very comfortable as usual. And what's special about it, in addition to, it's the 4NS, by the way. So this is the RANGA 4NS. And it's a YOO nib, but at least Patent Street has, you can get special grinds, and this is a medium cursive italic. Very nice, and it gives you a little bit of a different feel. So even though it's a YOO nib, it's got a different grind. It's very pleasant. By the way, speaking about small sections, here's another example of a pen that seemingly looks, just off the bat, oh, that section must be uncomfortable. But man, is it comfortable to me. Now, is it the fact that there is this flare? And this, I think it's a combination of the flare and the fact that nib section is thinnish right at the end. And it just gives me the control and the writing experience that I really, really enjoy. Again, just goes to show that maybe my love for girthy pens is more aesthetic than it is, actual and real. But having said that, stay tuned for a detailed review of this pen. I think it's another great RANGA offering, which I am very, very much enjoying these days. So that covers the pen, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it covers the pen haul, if you will. I've done the paper. What else have I got for you? Oh, I wanted to show you another product that I've added to the Fountain Pen Studios. And it's this clipboard. Now, this clipboard, let me just, yeah, so you can see it. This clipboard comes with this, it's kind of it's meant to be like a menu clipboard, you know, where you put it up and you I guess you put it in view so people could check your menu, maybe on a table or something. I paid it, I think, only $15. But you know what? It's great, and I can use this for my loose sheets. I did have this one from Galen Leather, which of course is a completely different animal. It's you know, it's thicker, but unfortunately, it doesn't. It only accommodates a larger sized paper. So I got to put a lot of paper in there before I can actually use this thing. There's no clip. It has these two screws which are essentially don't serve a great purpose. It can go much higher up, but not much lower down. So I find myself not using this as often as I would like. It would have been much more practical, I think, if this would have been more on a clip kind of a design. So that's one of the reasons why I thought that this thing would come in handy. And you know what? It really does. I'll be able to do some of the ink swatching with this thing from now on. So there you have it. And it also serves as my, you know, I can put it to the side and see my notes. So practical use. And you know what, folks? It looks really nice on my new mat. Speaking about leather and brown, I wanted to mention something else. And that is this thing. This came with one of my Galen Leather notebooks, San Sintomo River notebook. And I never really understood what this was all about. But apparently it's a backing. You can put this underneath paper and write with it. If I'm not mistaken, that's what it's designed to be. I'm not sure. But I can tell you, it gives... Actually, I don't want to... let me just put this on... Bring back the notebook and just see how this reacts, or what kind of a feeling it gives. It actually, I mean, this is thick paper in and of itself, but it kind of gives a bounce to your writing experience. Now, I don't feel it as much on this because this is a very small nib, but let me see with this medium YOLO. Yeah, it kind of makes the writing experience all that more pleasurable. But if anybody out there can give me a more technical, or am I right? Is this what this is supposed to be? And what exactly? I thought it would interfere with the writing, but it doesn't. And funny enough, it's got two sides. It's got this side that's a little bit more rough, and it could just be the leather, and this one's a little softer. But there's a certain thickness to it that gives me that bounce when I write on it. Now, maybe it's supposed to serve another purpose. So if anybody out there understands what this thing is all about, please let me know. But I just thought it was a nice touch, and I'm going to be using it in the future. Very pleasant. Now, what else have I got? Yeah, that's really it for new products in the studios, apart from inks. And you know what? Let's go to that next segment, which is the ink swatching. Be right back. So I'm back we're going to be doing some ink swatching, and we're going to take another 3 inks, show them to you. Obscure marks, or at least to me, almost unknown brands that I've never seen on a regular basis. And sometimes you can discover little gems. I got 3 for you that we're going to be swatching. Now, heads up, this swatching was done some time ago. So you'll see that I don't have my brand new brown leather matte. It's actually my gray one, and that explains why. In any event, I would have put the gray one because I don't want to spill ink over this brand new one. Not right away anyway. Give me a little bit of time. It won't be long. So if you're asking yourself some questions, now you know what. So we'll be right back with that ink swatching. Okay, so we're back. There is nothing better than an early morning relaxing ink swatching. Got my cappuccino. I got my 3 pens, my weapons as I like to call them. My water for the swatching. My folded pen for the actual application. And my 3 inks for this week, folks. This is an ink that I saw on Etsy. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, TOYOHASHI. Based on the name and the fact that we see this white peak, I'm assuming these are Japanese. There's no made in Japan in English anywhere. I wasn't able to get confirmation of that, but I would assume that these are Japanese inks. They really, when I saw the ad, it kind of triggered my curiosity. I was a little bit surprised at the size. Should have known better. They're quite small, but look, let's see what they've got to offer. So these are the 3 inks. I've chosen a kind of turquoise blue. As you know, these days I'm going crazy over that color. A darker blue and a green. The pens that I've chosen to do some writing with this is the Omas Bologna, and this is the real Omas Bologna. I've got my Delta Black Lex, my law pen, as I like to call it, which will have the dark blue. The Bologna, of course, will have the light blue. And this Mr. Cypress 18 karat or 14 karat gold nibbed pen will have the green. So we'll put the pens on the side for now. The inks are here. What are the papers? Well, as I always decided to do, I'm always going to swatch two different papers or in the swatching. My traditional Tomo River original paper, which is kind of my baseline. And for you today, I have this YU-SARI notebook. It's made in Japan. Figured this is going to be an all Japan cast. Very nice paper, thick, and we shall see how it performs. Does it give me the grams? No, it doesn't. But I can tell you that it's very, very thick, much thicker paper than the Tomoe River. So here are the actors. So let's get going here. Okay. Okay, first thing, we'll open up our notebook here. Okay. And we'll give it a go, one at a time. Okay, let's do the dark blue first. And just put these actors into the main frame, as they say. See the little bottle? Cute little bottle. And when I saw the bottles, I kind of got misled into thinking that they were much bigger. I should, I just had to read them, the size. But there's the dark blue color. Put that there. Oh yeah. Anyway, it comes down really sharp dark blue. And this will be on the other paper. Here we go. So far I'm happy. Okay, so so the dark blue is the Black Lex. TOYOHASHI. I just want to make sure I spell this right. So and they call it, do they have a color name for it? I'm just going to put dark blue. Forgotten how beautiful this Fusion Delta nib is. It's a stub. Very, very nice. And handwriting looks so much nicer when you use a stub, don't you? Okay, so here we go here. TOYOHASHI. I can tell you that it's very smooth paper. Just a little more texture than the Tomoe River. Okay, so there we go. That's the dark blue. So far, I'm very happy with this blue. Let me tell you. Too bad they have small. I'm going to check it out. Maybe they have bigger bottles. Well, okay, let's not jump to conclusions, Vince. You're excited, I understand, but one thing at a time. Let's see how all this ink kind of reacts and performs. Okay, this is the green. They have many, many colors from what I gathered. I'll first go on this. And then we'll see what gives here. Again, a very dark pigment. And so this is the TOYOHASHI. I'm going to call it dark green. Just because if I order more of this, I'm sure there are lighter greens in the choices. Kind of messed that up a little bit, but yeah, with this paper, what I noticed, and again, I keep forgetting the name, YU-SARI, the feedback I get, I'll let you listen. It's a sailor-like chalk feedback, not scratchy at all. Very, very tactile, but very pleasant. Very pleasant. So it kind of gives you that very nice writing experience. If you're a type of person who likes, your tastes are such that you like a little bit of feedback and enjoy those sailor nibs, well, that paper so far appears to pick that up even more with non-sailor pens, right? So, okay, so this is the lighter blue. Notice a little bit of feathering here. So let's let's do the light blue. Oh, that is a really nice light blue, folks. I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but given my excitement these days for this color, let me tell you, it's jumping in my eyes. Look at that. Very, very nice. So let me just ink that up. I don't know if that's water or ink. Okay. And it's a perfect match for my Omas Bologna. So this is the TOYOHASHI. Whoa, my Omas is bleeding a little bit. Light blue. Just a perfect match for this pen. Let's see if there's okay, so there you have it. Those are the three inks. As we always do, we will allow them to dry a little bit and take a closer look at what they give in terms of writing and in terms of swatching. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. Don't have the patience to wait any longer. As you can see, they're pretty straight up inks. I don't have the cameras picking it up. This is it's a gray black blue as opposed to this lighter blue. And it really comes out nicely in the writing. It gives you the nice, there's a base blue with a grayish black tint to it. Very unique, very nice. The green is almost very dark, so if you're looking to not to have, just add a little pizzazz to a black ink, this is it, I think. It'll give you just a little bit of greenish tint, but essentially basically black on the writing. I noticed that even on this Tomoe River, which never feathers, has slight feathering there on the T. So this ink must be less performing than the two others, put it this way. The light blue, there's really none of the inks show any sheening. Slight shading, not even. They're pretty straight up. In terms of how it looks on the flip side, typical Tomoe River. Apart from that blotch there, which I blotched, you can see the swatches just a little bit more, but there's a bit of ghosting, but tolerable. On this YU-SARI paper, I think the inks are even flatter. They come out much, much flatter than they do in the Tomoe River. As you can see, there was some feathering here again in that green, but otherwise pretty straight up. What do they look like? It dries much quicker on this paper as well. You can tell the paper is much, much thicker. On the other side, a little bit of see-through. Yeah. As you can tell, it's thicker, but it has more ghosting, in my view, than the Tomoe River. So, but we will keep writing with those pens and with the other pens on this paper just to see how it performs, so I can give you a better look. We've got all kinds of writing samples in this particular video and this recap, so we'll be able to test it even further to see how it performs. So there you have my ink swatching for this Sunday. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, in this next segment, I'd like to discuss HONGDIAN nibs, or at least a few of them, and some of the confusion that may be out there. At least it confused me, and I apologize. I may have misled my audience, and I wanted to come clean on that because I did some not research, but I paid more attention to the nibs that I had, and I think I managed to figure things out. So without any further ado, let me go to my overhead camera and show you what I mean. Now, to demonstrate what I'm talking about, I'm going to be looking at these three pens, and they each have a different nib. Now, this is an old HONGDIAN, okay, an old model that, heavy, came out several years ago, I would suspect. And this is what we refer to as probably first generation HONGDIAN nib. And as you could see, it has the HONGDIAN logo. It looks like an HD, but I could be wrong. It has 1997, and this is a fine. And it's that 1997 that may have fooled me. But there you have it. Okay, and take a look at the feed. It's a plastic feed, and it's, just kind of a generic, cheap plastic feed that we've seen before. So that's what I would say is the first generation of nibs. The second generation is what is found on this, and now we're talking about standard HONGDIAN nibs. There's a long knife nib, there are special edition nibs, etc., which we will take a look at some other time. But right now I'm talking about just their standard lineup of nibs. This one is the HONGDIAN 100, not the new Ode 100, but the HONGDIAN 100. And there you have that same kind of cheap plastic feed, but the nib is that second generation nib with what they call kind of a flower knot or a knot on it, with the HONGDIAN branding and with the size of the nib. In this case, we're talking about a medium. They then came out with the same nib, but which is this one, right? Same nib. So it does have since 1997 on it, HONGDIAN, and then it has size M or 35, which is kind of a Chinese or measurement, if you will. But the feed was this brand new, kind of looks like an ebonite feed, but it isn't. And from what I understand, this feed improved greatly the flow. So that's your big, it's nice and juicy. That's the big version 2 feed. And that's the new version 2 nib. Okay, so far, so good. Now, I then received this pen, which is the HONGDIAN Ode 100. And there was some differences, and I've gone through this already. There's a brand new ink window there. The nib, however, at first sight, I saw 1997. So I really thought that it was this first version, and that I basically got duped into thinking that this was a brand new nib when it wasn't. But as it turns out, it is. Take a look. The first one, this one here, has both that knot design and the 1997. The measurement is underneath the number, the year, and then HONGDIAN. So it is a new version, and it's supposed to be softer than this version 2. I would call this the version 3, if you will, okay? The feed is that same juicy big feed that we had on, that we have, like the improved feed, but the nib is different. Now, is this going to be their new standard nib? Is this indeed softer than this one? I got to tell you that I have my doubts. So let me set up and we'll do just a quick look and comparison. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. First of all, this is version 2 of the nib. So this is that just with the big flower knot, if you will. That's on the original HONGDIAN 100. Here is, it is fairly stiff. I mean, I can hardly get any line variation out of it. So my verdict on this one is that it doesn't have much of a bounce. Not on this pen anyway, okay? And what I found is that sometimes from pen to pen, there may be a difference. And that's why I think I'm going to do a special video on this. Because I think one of the pens has a very similar looking nib, but the bounce is so spectacular that you wonder, was it just an error, a batch? Not sure. So that's the original 100. Let's take a look at the new 100 Ode, or that version 3 nib that has both the knot and the year, 1997. Here is, and there is a little more bounce, but it's not, it's not so significant. Put it this way, it is not the same bounce that you get in some of other pen with a similar standard nib. So, I'm not getting much of a difference. And frankly, the little bit difference that I'm getting is probably due to the fact, and I apologize, the camera doesn't want to focus, is probably due to the fact that this is in fact no, they're both fines. Are they one extra fine? No, okay. It's probably due to the fact that this is a fine and this is a medium, and maybe that nib is a little bit thinner, giving it a little more spring. I don't know if that makes any sense. So frankly, this big advertising of a new soft nib may not be as significant as you would think. And then, of course, I went out and got more of these, thinking that somehow they were the ones that I'm feeling in certain pens. Let me give you an example. Let me just go to my overhead camera. Here is the, and I keep D1. It's the D1. This thing has what appears to be, anyway, to me anyway, that same just knot design on this nib. I don't know why my camera is having a hard time focusing, but it's that typical, standard HONGDIAN with the big knot. Okay? Version 2, if you will, what I call version 2. But take a look at the spring on this thing. Do you see that? How springy it is? The tines actually open up. Now, this pen hasn't been written with, so it's kind of false starting on me, but you can definitely see that the spring on this thing is much more more bouncy than the others. Now, is it just on this D1? Let me know, folks. Are you getting the same exceptional D1 nib that's very different from the rest? Because when I look at the design, it's exactly the same one. This one's a fine, and I compare it to the fine that's on the HONGDIAN 100, and there's really no comparison. I'll take this other one, which is let me just see, the A6. And it's got a little more bounce than the one we just saw. Just a little more, but not as much as this one. Not as much as this one. So all to say is that I think I have to sit down and take a look at all my HONGDIAN nibs and do a complete review of all of them, and maybe make a separate video for you to appreciate. I'm going to have some fun doing it, and hopefully it'll be informative. So that's my HONGDIAN nib segment, if you will. Stay tuned for my next part. Be right back. Okay, this is my currently inked section. So let's go to my overhead camera. Here they are. Those are the pens that I wrote with this week. As I've mentioned to you already, my first three are always my Montblanc 149. It's the, go-to workhorse for me when everything else fails. I always have a pencil. This is a Delta Dolce Vita designed pencil. And this is a Montegrappa Mia ballpoint. And I have my trusty Pelican R400. Beautiful, beautiful roller ball. Probably the best roller ball in my view in my collection. I have the new Admok 28, which to me was a real disappointment, but we'll get to it in a second. HONGDIAN N25. I have one of my new Safari, my ASVINE C2000, my Jinao X159, my Delta Lex, my Omas Bologna, and my ASVINE J16. Now, one thing I wanted to mention. This thing kind of dried up on me. And the C2000, as I mentioned in my earlier segment, I've not applied the fix to this. I will, and I will let you guys know if it works. So this thing, unfortunately, which was my red 2Go pen for the week, did not function. It was completely dry. So in its place, I used this Safari. I think they call it Scarlet. And you know what? It was a good alternative for me. It wasn't quite red. I believe I have in here Hero Violet or Purple. But it was close enough. So this is the Lamy Safari Scarlet. And I grew fond of this pen, believe it or not, which is good news for me because everybody's raving about these Safaris and I just couldn't find anything nice in them, but I do. And I like that triangular grip. I really do. I think it, again, goes to show you that maybe my writing preferences have changed. There again, it's a slim section with a flare. When I put my fingers there, it's very slim. So maybe, girthy pens are overrated. And maybe this is what I should be focusing on in any future purchases for my fountain pen therapy. So there you have it. I'm happy about my Safari, finally. Speaking of girthy pens, this is the Jinao X159, right? The new one, the acrylic one, as opposed to the big steel original with that big number 8. It's got a big section, and yet I feel comfortable. Now, is it the flare that's creating that comfortable feeling? You would think that that I just gone through explaining to you they like small sections. And, you know, do I hate big sections? Not this one. Now, has it got something to do with the material? The fact that this material is so sticky? Perhaps. I just have to pay more attention to that in the future. Something that I've been ignoring. This is my Delta Lex. Again, it's got a flare. Let's see. Yeah, you see, I think it's that flare. This is the Delta Black. Beautiful pen, by the way, with a beautiful nib. With that Fusion 14 karat nib, Delta nib. So, girthier section, but it's got that flare. And the material is sticky, very sticky. My next, really enjoyed this one. This is the Omas Bologna. And by the way, that is the true Bologna. You know, this blue with the white. Everything else has been distorted. The new Omas is not the same thing. Sorry, folks. Now, this has got a steel section, and yet I feel very comfortable with it. So this is the Omas Bologna. It has a 14 karat nib, Omas nib. It's kind of a medium, but it almost writes like a broad. So soft, so Omas. Love this pen. Love this pen. And you know, when I bought it, I didn't think I had something there. I thought, you know what? I got ripped off. But that was years ago, and I hadn't realized yet the value of the original Omas. There you have it. This pen is being cherished. So enjoyed that pen. Then I had this ASVINE J16, which you've seen before. Some people have asked me, why don't you get the shinier version so you can show it to us? You know what, folks? It's going for almost like $100. With your permission, I'm not going to bother. And frankly, that shiny version must be a fingerprint mess. So I prefer this kind of a silky matte version. And I think one of these is enough. Thank you. So there you have my weekly currently inked. Stay tuned, and we'll put together what we're going to use for next week. Okay, so here is what I've got planned for next week. 149 is always there, just for the fun of it. Let's make sure it looks like it's missing some ink. Missing some ink, but we'll let it completely dry out, and then we'll fill it again. My pencil, I'm going to go with this one. Kind of a spoke, kind of an architect style pen or pencil. So this is going to be a new pencil that I'm introducing. By the way, I always need a minimum 7, preferably 9 plus, because I have a tendency to push on the pencil and then it just snaps on me all the time. So that's the pencil. This is a Peniter, what is it, Old Times? I forget what they call this, but this is the triangular version, and the snap is in there. Very nice, comfortable. Again, take a look at that. Thin section, feel comfortable. So, so this is the Peniter ballpoint. So we'll go with that. My trusty R400, which you've seen before. You see this in my last segment, my new RANGA 4NS. My regrettable FULIWEN 812, but which has just a great nib, so I'm going to give her a go. My newly fixed ASVINE, and this will be my red pen for the week. Again, you see, I just can't, I don't know what it is about this section. But there you go. It's juicy. It's wet. This has got the gasket. So I've got a feeling that ASVINE has done it for us again. They've listened and they've corrected, which is all the credit to them. This is my other new Safari. You'll remember last week. This is the Lamy Safari. I think they call it black steel, or yeah, black steel. There you have it. See if that works. Decided to put in a pocket pen. I never use these things, and I really love this. I think this is the new HONGDIAN M2, but in brass. People keep asking me, by the way, do you have a drawing issue with this pen? Take a look at this. I have not written with this for weeks. Is that a medium nib? Yeah, it's a number 5. I almost venture to say that this number 5 is better than the number 6. Very nice. I think I'm going to, again, thin section, and I enjoy it. So, you know, there's a lot of nice thin pens, old vintage, you know, the Parkers, the Omas. Wow. It opens up just a brand new ball game altogether. Brand new. Hey, how do I get this out? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use that. Talk about slims. This is the Pro Gear Slim Imitation from Trammell. Take a look at how juicy this. It's got, of course, that SCHMIDT broad nib. So I'm going to enjoy this one. This is a beautiful pen. And it's, the resin looks really cheap, but the resin is wonderful, or the acrylic. Then I've taken out my Nettuno 1911. Why not? It's got a big, thick, I'm doing a lot of writing next week, I anticipate, so a nice stub nib. Will do wonders. This is a stub 1.5. but with a slightly cursive italic feel to it. So I'm going to have some fun with this Nettuno. Again, slim section, great writing experience. One of you have asked me, what about the Stipula Flex? I omitted to mention this, in that episode or that segment where I dealt with my new Flex nibs. I forgot to mention this one. This indeed is the Stipula, and this is the steel Flex fine nib. It's not a Flex nib, but it's certainly a soft nib. Well, it's not a Flex nib. I guess for those of you who know how to use it, it may very well be, because it's got a nice snapback. So maybe I'm wrong. One day I will learn how to do that. See, you can get a fine line or a thick line. So maybe it is a Flex. Well, look at this. So we'll use my Stipula Lucents. I've done a review. I've promised that I publish it. I haven't done it yet. I'll get around to it. So those are going to be my pens or should I say my writing instruments, for next week. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, in this next segment, we're going to cover kind of a follow-up and also Q&A, questions and answers from viewers. I keep being asked about drying nib issues with this Jinao 10. I thought perhaps it was the ink, so last week I replaced the ink with a Yamabudo from Iro Shizuko, which I figure, if it's going to dry up, then I have a problem. Let's see if it was the ink. So this is the, well, there you go, Jinao number 10. This time it has Yamabudo. As nice as this Writer's Blood ink diamine, I've got a feeling it has some properties that clog the pen, that kind of dry. You get this drying, almost like a crust. So that may be an issue. I have to be careful. Some of you also suggested that I take a look at a video from, I forget her name, Vanessa, where she applies some silicone grease to the entrance of that nib so that it prevents it from driving. But you know what? The Yamabudo is working, so it just may be a question of the ink I chose, which kind of reassures me, because a lot of my viewers were saying, I don't know what's wrong with your pen, but mine is fine. Well, folks, I got to tell you, mine is fine. Speaking of which, let's see if the one that I really liked, which is the, yeah, you see this one's not dry at all either. This is the Majon A1, but with the Bobby medium stub nib. Isn't that beautiful? I know I keep coming back to these pens, but just answering some of the questions. Speaking about following up, I wanted to follow up with this 601. Again, slim section. Let's just see if it still writes. So this is the, yeah, wow, Wing Sung 601A, but with a Bobby medium grind. Really nice. Thank you, Bobby. Try to see if it comes with any other version of this pen, because you've got some beautiful versions that are gold and entirely stainless steel, but it doesn't come with that medium nib. So I'm going to keep looking if I ever see, or maybe I'll write to Bobby directly and ask him to see what he could do. Next thing I wanted to clarify, I made a mistake. Well, not a mistake, but I misled you. This is the Sailor Compass, and I was complaining about the fact that the Fude nib on this thing is too thick at a normal angle, and that I have to really, write with it upright in order to get a decent line out of this pen. Well, that's because these Fude nibs come in different angles. As it turns out, this green one is 55 degrees, but there are other versions with different colors with 40 degrees, which is probably more what I would need. And of course, it's meant for artists to color in. It's also very good for ink swatching, I would imagine. Okay, so sorry, Sailor, it's my fault. Didn't read the fine print. So unfortunately, I got the wrong one, but this was given to me by Apple Boom for review purposes. I should have gotten the 40 degree instead of the 55, but got this for free, so it is what it is. Next thing, I was asked to follow up on this can write Mammoth number 9 to see if it still writes after several weeks of non-use. A little bit of hard start there, but not much. It's more the angle of the pen. This is the Mammoth number 9. And there again, now this is huge. And I feel comfortable. Again, there's that flare. So is it the slimness that I prefer? Or is it the flare? It's big. I like it. But I got to tell you, it's not as comfortable as a slimmer pen. So maybe, I will have to rethink that. But it'll make a great subject for another video. So those are the revisits. What else have I got in terms of... oh, yes. Wanted to mention that yesterday, because you'll be viewing this on Sunday, yesterday, Saturday, April the 5th, there was a premiere. I was interviewed by an Italian YouTube channel by the name of CIRCOLO Stilografico Romano. Small community of different channels, a bunch of Italians who are passionate like me about pens, and they asked me if I wanted to come on their show. And so they asked me some questions. I interviewed. So if you're curious to see me speak Italian, please go ahead, check out that video. I'm putting up a thumbnail of that. It started yesterday, and I'll put the link to that video in my description. If you're curious, if nothing else, just to see me on another channel, I welcome you to view that. That's that. Next question is, oh yes, be right back. I gotta get a couple of pens, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back for more Q&A. One of the viewers, you remember, one of the viewers had asked me, he was thinking about buying this beautiful original Dolce Vita oversize with that huge nib, which, by the way, let's just try it out. It's got that flare. So the flare kind of salvages the writing experience for me. Otherwise, again, it's really big. This is probably the biggest section I have in my collection, no doubt. So let's get back to the question. The viewer said, I'm not sure I like that big, beefy, girthy section. Do you have a cheap pen or a low budget pen that you can suggest I buy just to try it out? And one of the viewers, and I had given several, one of the viewers said, well, you should have brought out the P139, which is this big, which some people said is kind of homage to the Dolce Vita. I don't think so. I think this is homage. I mean, that's what I said in my review, but I corrected it later. I think this is more a homage of the Hemingway Mont Blanc than it is the Dolce Vita. But having said that, you can see there's a big difference in section. This is much, much smaller than the original Dolce Vita. But you know what? I don't think, apart from some of those giant Indian pens and the ones I reviewed for you, and maybe the Jinao 98019, I think that this one, although it kind of looks similar, if you will, is still too small to provide an accurate reflection of that section. So I thought I address that. Next thing. Next question I had is, can you tell me what pens have a number 5 SCHMIDT nib? Okay. So we looked in our collection to find more number 5 SCHMIDT nibs. Of course, it all started with this little guy, which I just reviewed, which is really the FULIWEN A12. And what I realize is that the Scrivener pens, I have two models here. This one, I don't know if this will write. Again, small section. Look at this. I haven't written with this in months. Number 5 nib. Very nice. Can be posted as well, so very nice. That's the first model, and I forget the model names. This is the other model, which I believe also has a SCHMIDT nib. This one's a more gold version. Oh, there may be no ink in here. Oh, there's no ink. So that's the second Scrivener. The next pen, of course, is this ADMOC M400, which, I mean, it's a real imitation of the actual Pelican. So this is the, does it right? Yes, it does. ADMOC M400 has this number 5 SCHMIDT nib as well. Very nice. This is probably a really good purchase for me anyway. Then I've got this FULIWEN. No, FANMU. It's once in a while available. It's kind of a funny looking pen with a kind of a draw system there. But again, the nib, FANMU, yeah, you see it writes really nice. Wow, this SCHMIDT nib is really, is it an extra fine? It's fine. Got some nice feedback there. So I got this FANMU. Then there's a series of what they call LIY nibs, and I think it means love in you or something like that. It's LIY. This one is called the Me Too, I think it is. Chinese pen. Again with this number 5 nib. This one's a fine. And from the same brand, very nice, deep resin. Take a look at that. Chatoyancy on that. It's almost like Blue Galaxy sort of an idea. Then I got this little mini. It's a mini pen. So this is the LIY Mini. Again with a SCHMIDT number 5. This one too is a fine nib. So that's another one that uses, I don't know if some of the Bennu, I know Bennu uses SCHMIDT nibs number 6, but in some of the mini pens they just came out with, I don't know if they're using a number 6 or a number 5. You may want to look at that. This, of course, is the FULIWEN A12 that we just reviewed. I also have this Vizier Elf. Very nice, by the way. Vizier, Indian pen company, makes some very low-budget pens. Vizier. And this is the Elf. Again, with a SCHMIDT. Just writing. Number 5. And this, too, is a fine nib. Really nice, these number 5 nibs. I have one more that I just filled up. I'm not sure the ink, it's an eyedropper, so I'm not sure the ink is kind of flown down. I don't know how to describe the name of this pen. I think it's referred to as the EDC Ultim pen. EDC. Okay, the ink has gone down. It too has a SCHMIDT fine number 5 steel nib. So there is my inventory. There may be others that I missed in my collection, but none of them are really expensive. Probably the most expensive ones are the Scrivener, and maybe that new AdMock. The FULIWEN cost $40 plus, which is not really worth the money. Actually, this is not a number 5. My apologies. This is a FULIWEN nib. It feels like a SCHMIDT nib, but it's not. So that shouldn't be there. Sorry about that. Don't want to confuse you more than I've already done so. But there you have the inventory of my number 5 size nibs. So that's it for that. Okay, so let's take a look at some YouTube reviews. In terms of other reviews, I've got to tell you, it's just a slow period. Doesn't appear to be much action out there that I would recommend strongly. I mean, everything's kind of interesting, and it all depends on your tastes. I don't want to denigrate any other reviewer, but is there anything outstanding or really fun out there? Yeah. There's reviews just like mine, and if you don't appreciate the pen or want the pen, then there's not much there. But so let me try to concentrate on what I have to offer for you. First of all, I've got please take a look at the ASVINE fix for the C2000. Very short video. It tells you what to do and how to do it, and where to get the little gasket to completely fix the drawing nib issue in that pen. So that's a video that I would recommend if you haven't seen it as yet. I've got my HONGDIAN N25 Year of the Snake review. Beautiful pen, as I mentioned. And take a look at that video. It might be interesting if you are into HONGDIAN pens. I think this is another offering that's worthwhile mentioning. I also, of course, have my last week's recap for March 30th. Lots of interesting things in there. And as I mentioned to everybody, the recap is just not a weekly and a timely kind of news item. It's got all kinds of other interesting information that are highlighted there. So take a look at the previous recaps. You might find something in there of interest for you. Just take a look at the timestamps and you'll be able to see what's there, or even the highlights in the thumbnail will give you an indication of where I was going that particular week. Next, I've reviewed the RANGA 4NC, so stay tuned for that review, that beautiful pen, which I will give you a quick, which we took a quick look at in this recap. But if you want a detailed review, there it is. Remind you that my comprehensive guide to fountain pen therapy friendly paper, part 3, is out. If you haven't taken a look, please do. It's available. What else have I got for you? Coming up are going to be my ASVINE pen collection review. I got my Majon pen collection review. I've got the top budget vacuum filling fountain pen review for you. And then I've got a bunch of reviews of various pens that eventually will see the daylight. Just announcing what's going to be there for the coming weeks and months, if you will. There you go. And I may very well have to start, in fact, publishing 2 videos per week. Otherwise, I'm going to be accumulating and not finding the time to publish any of those pen reviews. Maybe that's what we'll do. A special, edition sort of video, like a collection review, and maybe a pen review or an ink review, that sort of thing. In any event, this is a work in progress, folks, as they say. So there you have it. So that's it for this week's recap, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Lots of stuff for your enjoyment, entertainment, and consideration. If you are joining us for the first time, please subscribe. I need subscribers, folks. I need lots of subscribers. You've got to encourage me to do these videos every week. Nah, just kidding. This for me is fountain pen therapy. I enjoy it. Whether I have 2,000 views, 4,000 views, or 500 views, I still enjoy doing it. So no worries there. Thank you very much if you have tuned in. And, have a wonderful week. Enjoy your pens. Lots of fountain pen therapy. Spring is coming around. I know here in Canada, well, in Montreal in particular, all of the snow is essentially melted. We had some snow this week, but it melted quickly. Yesterday was a balmy 19 degrees, which for, just early April is exceptional. Today is a little cooler, but I see my golf season coming around, so stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to swinging my clubs again, as they say. Take care, folks. Have a great week.